No mai, haere mai ki Aotearoa Rugby Pod. Welcome to the Aotearoa Rugby Pod, brought to you by Ashley and Martin Medical Hair Centres. It's Rugby Championship time. We'll get into the first round of action, look at the squads, the selection permutations, and then, having discussed that, we'll come to some conclusions about who wins the title and why. Waves of Bok fans have made it clear that it's them in the comments section, but they do have to come and win in New Zealand and Eden Park no less. We'll have the fun-loving Emoni Narawa on the show as well in the first of 5 All Blacks feature interviews in the next few weeks, including Geordie Barrett, Kane's Cannonball, Duplessis Karifi, newcomer Ollie Norris, Jimmy the Difference, Timothy Tavatavanawai. And we'll talk Richie Mo'unga's return next year, as well as Lester Fainga'anuku and the curveball that is Rugby 360. Plus, we've copped some complaints that we haven't done enough NPC in recent weeks, so we're going to go a little deeper there. Stick around for that towards the end of the show. We have another Rugby Ready giveaway for a month of free training with All Blacks guru Dr. Nick Gill's team. We also have heaps of your emails and comments, as well as all the in-depth analysis you've come to expect from James Parsons and Bryn Hall, who are to my left, as ever. Guys, the first week of the Rugby Championship, Argentina jipper, first up in Argentina. While people think that this is an All Blacks Springboks race, I think Argentina's taught us a couple of things in the last couple of years that suggest that it's not that straightforward.
One of the glaring obvious things was the amount of penalties given away, and obviously 38-30, and the ability, when Argentina have beaten us, they've had a lot of penalties in around that halfway mark that they've kicked. So I think if we can control that discipline and bring the statistics that we had on attack around sort of the dominant carry, the lightning quick ball and the gain line, because the game we lost, 29% dominant carry against RG last year, 50% lightning quick ball, 59% gain line, which those aren't too bad for the weather conditions, but I suppose that dominant carry stat that was hitting sort of that 60% mark for the All Blacks in the French series, if they can bring that in dry conditions, I'm extremely excited to see what they can do.
Brennan, looking at the Argentina squad, there's a few guys out, Buffelli, no Labanini, no Bertrano, no Moroni, so there's a few guys that we really know who are out, but also when you look at the list of players who are there, this is an Argentina team stacked with talent.
The biggest thing that we've touched on is probably consistency with them. Like, they'll be able to beat the British and Irish Lions, but then they'll lose to England A, and they even beat us in Wellington last year, but then we come back and are able to beat them. But there is a difference of being at home. Like, we've been able to play in Argentina. It is a different feel. It's more of a festival feel. They're very passionate and very enthusiastic, so they grow an arm and a leg over there.
Do you reckon the emotions can play a part against them, because they're actually more successful on the road?
Yeah, I think being process driven and being able to just go back to back and being consistent and thinking clearly is probably not having the high emotion.
I think their coaching group have come out as well, and they're saying, man, we love the support we get here. They come down to training, the passion, but we need to judge ourselves on our preparation.
The All Blacks are going to have to be ready for the kicking game. Look, against that British and Irish Lions game, they were very, very good in the end. So we've touched on a lot around the All Blacks, South Africa, even playing against teams that kick heavily off 9 or off 10. So the All Blacks are going to have to be pretty prepared in and around that. And you look at the counter-attack that they scored against the British and Irish Lions, I think they had like 3 or 4 opportunities off a turnover ball, and their click attack that they showed, they were able to score points off that. So that the defensive pressure, and I guess the being able to get into structure very quickly off turnover ball, or even if the kick isn't right on terms of our kicking game and we kick it long. There's a few things that the All Blacks will have to, I guess, nail for the first test match against the Argentinians.
With the players coming back, yes, they're missing some, but Hokobare's in the midfield. He'll be critical in terms of getting that front football, that direct nature defensively, and Crema, he's just a high impact player. He always nearly tops the tackle count, high carry, dominance, and will want to take it to the All Black pack. And then you talk about the counter-attack when they've got Delgi, Mateo Carreras and Malia, who have all had success in the French top league, full of confidence and coming back fresh, and you almost get the sense they've really targeted. They've had the All Black scalp overseas, but they really want this All Black scalp at home. There's a little bit of energy and edge about those sorts of players coming back off the back of successful top 14.
The time that they have had success against us, likes of Crema and Matera, been able to slow down our ball. So that breakdown area will be big for more so the All Blacks, but they've been very, very good in around getting test matches, winning that physicality breakdown. They fill the field very, very well, so sometimes they might just have a tackler and leave in the ruck, so you've got 14 men on the field. So I think 14 in the line. So I guess for the All Blacks, it's really hard to be able to attack that when you've got, good ball carriers in terms of being able to stop our ball carriers through the physicality that they do have, and they've got some really good jacklers. So they've had a high turnover rate when they've had success against us. So I think if you are the All Blacks, you're wanting to be able to almost be patient in terms of we might need to go 6, 7, 8 phases. If we don't get that, let's go to a contestable game, or let's go kick long and let's put pressure on them in a different way. Because, I think there's a lot of things that this Argentinian team has done previously against the All Blacks, and defensively, they're very, very good around trying to, stop the All Blacks in the mojo of the attack that we have had in the past.
So if we're looking at the Argentines being strong at the breakdown and that being one of the key areas, and you look at the All Blacks makeup for this particular game, what are you thinking as far as your loose forward combination is concerned?
I definitely think if Wallace is fit, you're better off starting him than bringing him off the bench. So he'd be at 8, Artie at 7, and there's no reason to drop Tupou, and I don't see a big difference in terms of the pack we're coming up against to say that this team doesn't warrant the same consideration.
So do you think Parker, who obviously has come into the squad, will kind of be in the squad for a few weeks waiting for his opportunity? There's no reason to go away from what we've seen against France?
I think you just want to get a real understanding of the line-out calling system, the attacking structures, the defensive structures, the terminology. And yes, you can pick it up, and yes, when you're an All Black, you can pick it up. But there's guys that have performed in that French series, so why risk it, is probably the question I'd ask. My gut feel would be potentially the second test you'll see him get a crack.
What about halfback? Does Finlay Christie start with Ratima coming off the bench, or the other way around?
I don't think he starts. And I think for the first test match, it would be Finlay Christie coming off the bench, because if Cortez Ratima, say hypothetically, got injured in the first 10 minutes, would you want a Kyle Preston in his debut coming off for 70 minutes? Now, I know he came on for the Crusaders and was able to perform really, really well, but geez, that's a big risk you run if you have a Kyle Preston coming off the bench. So I would have Cortez Ratima starting, Finlay Christie coming off the bench for that security, and if they do really well, then and Kyle was doing really well within the squad and they're liking what they're seeing, then maybe give him an opportunity in that second test match.
This is a question we're going to be asking when Richie Mo'unga comes back to town, big time.
Oh, I thought we had just moved on from first fives.
We're
back.
Started again.
Yeah, we're back. We're back on the first fives again, because just after our last show it was announced that Richie would be coming through again. And I suppose the real question here is
when's
about
he coming on?
Yeah.
Pod.
Yeah, when's he coming on the pod?
I tried.
That's the real question.
Come on, Rich. Come on, mate. Give us one.
Yeah. Having a person come back and committing to New Zealand rugby for a year and a half in the name of winning a World Cup, is that something that New Zealand rugby fans should be getting used to? Is this just how professional sport works? Because in the past, I think the only example I can think of a person who's operating like that is probably Sonny Bill Williams, has come and gone a few times.
He's given a lot of service to New Zealand rugby. Like, he's a Centurion with the Crusaders, he's played NPC, played 50-odd test matches for the All Blacks. So, when you've got that kind of weight behind you, it's probably not as hard being able to, get a guy to come back with that experience. So, and look, I think, it's great that he's been able to come back, but look, it's going to be 3 years away, that he's been over in Japan. He's been playing, look, don't get me wrong, he's been playing unbelievable. And I think the standard of when he does come back, it's not going to be that big of a jump for the way that I've seen him play over there and just knowing him as well. But, he's still got to come back and perform. So, the likes of a Bowden Barrett and Damien McKenzie, it's going to be, before Richie comes back, it'll be 2.5 years of being able to play at the All Blacks, the international level, where Richie hasn't been able to do that. So he's not warranted to come back to be able to then be the number 10 for the All Blacks. He's got to come back and earn it. He'll have to come back and play NPC, which has been told. Whether that's a full campaign, I'm not too sure, before it goes into the Northern Hemisphere. So he's got a lot to do before he gets back. But I think at the same time, we have to be realistic and understanding that, Razor has wanted him. It's been talked about the whole time since he's been there. Is Richie going to be coming back? He's wanted to open up the doors around having conversations of bringing back All Blacks to go play in Japan, or having not a clause, but a conversation to try and get people to come back. So we can't underestimate that he wants Richie Mo'unga there. So, but I think just it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to come back and be the team. But what it does do, it adds depth. It adds depth to a squad that Razor and them have been talked about. They want depth in a lot of positions, and when you can get a guy like Richie Mo'unga to come back, it's only going to add value to the All Blacks brand.
I think a lot of selections in international rugby in particular, and I think South Africa have probably showed this the most, I think it's gone to the days of a fixed 10 at international level. I get the sense that it's really shaping sides for opposition. and who's going to be the best person to create that, and to add someone of Richie's skill set to that ability to bring in is a no-brainer. And I think the other two players in Beauden and Damien will welcome the challenge. Like, all athletes welcome the challenge to prove that they are the one. But I still think it's not going to be like it was previous, where Dan Carter is going to start every test. I just think the dynamics, the evolution and innovation needed in international rugby is changing so quickly, and they all have different strengths and different weaknesses, and I think that presents the opportunity to utilise all three.
So we've seen Rassie come out and basically say that between Pollard and Lebok and Feinberg and Gomazulu, that there isn't a top guy. There's not a top guy, like Jipper says. There's a horses for courses mentality. How difficult is that to work? Let's say you're a halfback and they've got different ways of going. Is it just time with each and every single one of them to the point over 4 years?
Sorry to jump in before you actually, the one person who's played in there. But that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, I came through an era where the 10 was the 10. So it's hard for me to say that. But as I said when we were talking about Beauden and Damien, you can see that their style against an island, one suits it versus against South Africa. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to open up my rugby mind to Russie's way of thinking, not just his way of thinking, but I think we've seen it with Ireland, we've seen it with England, we've seen it with France. Like, there isn't just a set 10 anymore. A lot of the Northern Hemisphere nations in particular are rotating their 10. And I think we'll see it with Joe Schmidt and the Wallabies when there's a full complement of 10s to pick from. It's sort of trending in the same direction. And I think Richie coming back presents a genuine opportunity to make us, like, really hard to preview. You know, like, it's who's coming out this week, and then you find out on a Thursday, and it's, which means you've got to cram everything into your week. Okay, if Damien plays, we've got to do this way. If Beauden plays, so it clutters the opposition's week because you actually don't know who you're coming up against, which is potentially a strength.
It's hard for a player because you're a competitor and you want to be able to be the guy that starts, and it's more so the reps and the feel, being able to go week to week, and you gain confidence of being able to do that every single week. But you look at the South Africans and the number 10s that you use as an example, they've got it right, because it doesn't matter who's starting at 10 or whatever's position it may be, they've been able to perform.
But is the game starting to be dictated by 9s? Are 9s now the 10s? And bear with me here, this has just come to me now. But, like, whenever you talk to someone, you go, okay, who sets you alight as a player? It's Dupont. We're now hearing Roygaard. We're hearing Williams. We're hearing Jamison Gibson Park. I don't know, like, because if you look at all the 9s, that's where the consistency is. And a lot more attacking play comes off 9s. In terms of showing face, working with the forwards, and then releasing to the 10. Merely the 10's still running when that gets released, but a lot of the in-game decision-making and the person who has the ball the most is the 9.
So the 10's become a strike player and the 9 is a management player.
Well, I don't know, but if you look at all the international teams around, like, the 9s are quite set. Maybe not South Africa, but they do seem to be more set at 9, because normally they've got more forwards on the bench anyway, so...
Yeah, actually, no, and I also think...
mate, I could just get you a pay rise.
Thanks, mate. Well, here we go. But no, I think just coming back on Cam Roygaard, and I think with what his skill set is going to be, I think it's actually going to open up for our 10s in terms of going forward, going into the World Cup, because I think, look, you post so much questions at the breakdown in terms of the first 3 defenders. It might even be a little bit out. If we can get our pivots, or not our pivots, like our pods being able to run the right lines and a Roygaard is sniping in and around that, then I think it's going to open up for the likes of Richie.
Roygaard's the key in that.
I agree. Yeah, so, like, I think I wanted to be able to bring to that point, because I think Cam Roygaard can actually unlock our attack a little bit, I think even more, in terms of what's going to be able to be our face play shape. So a very good point, Jip, in terms of the 9's probably been maybe a little bit more consistent whereas 10s maybe might be a little bit more fluctuated.
But the outlier is South Africa, where you've got Vandenberg, Williams and Reinach and Faf, all consistently inconsistent.
But I think they're probably the difference in terms of like the only nation, I believe, at the top that are actually mixing and chopping and changing when it comes to every position, not let alone 9. Like you could, like Grant Williams could go out and play a 10 out of 10, 2 test matches in a row, and then he's not playing. Yeah. Like he's just coming off the bench, or they've got Reinach, or they might start someone else. So there's obviously a plan there,
but I think
and there's a blueprint of what they look like.
They're told.
Yeah.
They're told, like, right, this 3-test campaign, you are going to start both of them.
I think like...
Or you're starting one, then I'm dropping you.
Talking to like Quaha and Malcolm during playing with them, is that they have a system that Russie uses to be able to say, like, hey, these are the effort areas that you're doing. They GPS, or they look at it in a different way. So depending on who they're playing and what their skill set is and what they're doing really well, that's how they're picking their squad. Now, I don't know if it's changed, or they alter a little bit to be able to get a little bit of that, but then feel around who they're going to get. But there's obviously a system that they're using in South Africa as well.
It's clearly evident because no matter the amount of changes, they're still consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no clunkiness.
No, there's not.
The thing, it's because the changes are consistent, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like the consistency is the inconsistency, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the numbers, 24-25, Pollard starts 6, bench 4. Feinberg and Zulu starts 5, bench 2. Lebok starts 4, bench 3. So there's a constant rotation there between those guys. And then, like we said before, with the halfbacks, again, it's just a constant chop and change, but you probably need to do that for a consistent period of time to get your team where you need them to be, right?
Well, I look at it as an example. So, like, in terms of, like, I think of my time at the Crusaders. So it would be, starting 3, coming off the bench, off the bench 2, starting. So you just get a really good feel of how things go. Like, I think, sometimes when you're the starter and you go, let's say 10 in a row, and you come off the bench, it's like, oh, that's actually a bit different, and you're not experiencing it. Maybe the execution of what you need to come off the bench is different from what you do when you start. But I think when you're chopping and changing, you have a good understanding of, like, coming off the bench, what it looks like. It might be it might be a dry game. The tempo might be coming up for a halfback. Some other day you come off the bench and it's raining. You've got to be able to have game management and be able to understand differently to be able to play as a 9. So I think that ability and the stats you talk about with not only the 10s, but the 9s or whoever it may be, they're getting a good understanding to come off the bench and then being able to start as well.
If we were to be rolling them through, you would imagine that year and a half that we've got with Richie back, they'd really have to get that into play. Like, they really need to start with Richie for a couple of games and then start rolling it to make it work.
Yeah, I think you've got to know your players.
Yeah.
And you've got to know their strengths and weaknesses really well to know when they're going to be able to best execute that. Like, look at Damian McKenzie's performance against Ireland. Yeah. That is a great example that he suits that defensive system. The unpredictable nature of a very rigid, structured system. He can manipulate that because he sees things others can't. So understanding what systems you're coming up, so knowing your opposition, but then knowing your players to best set them up. And I'm not just, the only example we have is the box. So I think Russie knows his players so well and is so upfront around their strengths and weaknesses that the system is not a surprise to a player. You're not coming into a one-on-one and, going, am I getting dropped, am I not getting dropped? I think it's very clear and open so that it sets them up in that positive mindset. And that's what I'm saying is I think international rugby is coming to the point where you can do this more regularly and confidently. And people gain confidence through visuals. Yeah. And the visuals are the World Cup winners that have won the last 2. So then people trial it, it works, and then it becomes the norm.
So if we roll it back to the stats that we've got here, and you look at the way that they performed, Richie Mo'unga, his best percentages, and I know a whole team wins a game, not just a 10, but he wins 75% against Argentina and 83% against Australia, and everybody else is below 50. So he feels like a good fit there, obviously, if you can base it on a single person for a win. Yep. Whereas McKenzie, like you say, great against Ireland, great against England. Yeah. And then Barrett, by far the best against South Africa from a win percentage.
And France, by the looks.
What is it that maybe Barrett brings against South Africa and France what is it in his game, do you think, that makes that work? And what is it about Richie's game that makes it work against Argentina and Australia?
Can I come back to you next week?
Yeah.
I really need to look at some numbers.
Yeah.
I don't want to just say hearsay comments because I'd like to back it up.
Yeah.
But I would like to look into it.
Yeah.
And work out when those games were and find the stats and see what it was.
Yeah.
You have some generic feelings, but I wouldn't be doing it justice. I'd be guessing at this stage.
Okay.
We don't like to guess, all right?
No,
we don't
no,
like
no,
to
no.
guess. We don't like to guess.
Stay tuned. Be back
I like
next
to be a
week.
facts-based show.
We'll be back next week with a little bit of analysis on that. Okay, rightio. So the other person we saw back this week was Lester Fainga'anuku. And boy, did he look good against for Tasman on the weekend. He looked really, really good against the Turbos. Winger, centre. It's what Scott Robertson was asking for, more of them. Obviously, he's not available until November for the All Blacks. How does he affect the selection come November?
He may potentially put more pressure on wingers
Yeah,
Like a Caleb. maybe.
because what he gives you, he's not a 12.
yeah,
So he gives you a 13 wing,
yeah,
like a Rico, and Fainga'anuku gives you a 12 wing.
yeah,
So I'm
And is it a Caleb?
if you're
and a
looking for versatility, you wouldn't remove the versatility of Fainga'anuku
yeah,
if that's what you're looking for. You're gaining versatility in a centre wing. So I suppose, and the way squads have been, it looks like the wingers are getting squeezed the most and wanting to really bolster that competitive edge in that midfield. And the ability to have a 23 that covers and potentially opens up opportunities for your 6-2 because you've got more versatile backs and so forth. So logic would suggest it's going to squeeze wingers, which, are probably Leroy, Caleb.
Sevu.
I don't think, because Sevu's an out-and-out right winger. I'm not... You'd be getting in discussions of pushing Will Jordan back to right winger.
Narawa.
Yeah, Narawa. So those, I think those out-and-out winger positions.
So if you're looking around like a Leroy Carter, for example, who plays the winger 9 at a pinch one game for NPC, Leicester's been able to do that for a couple of years with Toulon. So I think the utility factor, which Razor's touched on a lot, not only in the loose forwards or whoever it may be, like the utility factor, if you want to get to that, the 34, 35 part squad members, that those late to last picks, you've got to have a utility. So I think, Leicester definitely does fit that.
I think Leroy Carter can grow in that though. Like speed defensively, 13 you need. His attacking game and ability to distribute from sevens is really first class.
Halfback as well. If you're a Leroy Carter, like there's nobody else in the country that has his skill set. If you're talking about World Cups and 33 and being able to have people that can cover multiple positions, 6-2 splits, we wouldn't never go 7-1, but yeah, Leroy Carter with what he has and being able to do that, he's warranted a selection. Possibly, this is a long way to go, but yeah, it's a massive skill set that he has in Leicester as well. Like you said, it seems like if you are an out-and-out winger, just a winger, you're almost going to, you might be squeezed out. So having that utility factor, I think, is going to be massive for the next couple of years moving forward.
Let's switch tacks now to the Boks and the Wallabies. We've touched on the Springboks and their approach to selection, but this game coming up in Johannesburg before they go to Cape Town after that, we talked last week and had a fairly strong response about whether or not the Wallabies could go over there and win. They've brought in Nick White, whose retirement lasted about 3 seconds.
Yes, awesome.
Nick White.
Yeah, stay in it, Nick. Stay in it, mate. You're retired a long time.
The
Stay
big
in it,
swan
mate.
song, the big MCG walk-off, no, SCG.
I'd love to know why, how that happened.
Jake Gordon got injured.
Oh, he got injured? Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then basically they gave him the call and up he goes, and then Ryan Lonergan comes in as cover as the next halfback. So I'm imagining that there's a really, really good chance that he's going to start his first game back from retirement.
Well, he played well.
Yeah.
He played well, and I think if it'll be
He was our turning point. Like he's got nothing to lose. Like when you come back as a player and you've got nothing to lose, he can just niggle. Oh.
Good luck being niggly against the South Africans. Good luck trying to pick a fight with Eben Smith or something like that.
He's done it before.
He has.
Famously.
But in saying that, like the South Africans, if a Nick White does start, they'll know that what's coming. So they'll be pretty well prepared around that. So But yeah, good luck if he wants to try and do that against a couple of those big forwards that we've seen in that first June series.
But he feels like the right guy maybe to beat the South Africans. If you're going to pick out of the two, McDermott, have McDermott coming off the bench and White running the show, like you say, like a halfback running the show.
I think that's a really good point. Like, I think with what we saw with Nick White and, Tate McDermott, feel a little bit around like, man, I've been playing really well and deserve an opportunity. But I think with what we've seen, and especially in the Veld, in terms of, I guess, what he would be able to do with tiring bodies. And I know it's a South African.
He's so good.
But he's so good. He's so good coming off the bench. So you'd have to think that they'll continue that as a positive of what they have with the Wallabies in the last 20 minutes. But yeah, I think Nick White, of what is going to be required, the kicking game is just going to be big. I know it's going to be dry conditions, but we've touched on a lot over the years around not being able to play too much, and he's probably the best kicking 9 that's on that squad. I know Lonergan's come in and has a pretty good kicking game, but do you want to put him in a high-pressure situation straight away? Probably not. So Nick White's kicking game, his competitiveness, can even snipe as well if they get the good physicality over the breakdown when they play the South Africans. He's probably the guy that you would start with and having McDermott coming off the bench in the last 20 or 30.
Yeah, I think as well, like, the one thing I love about Nick White is that coverage for the short kicking game. And I think Delande's growth in this area is a real weapon. Like, they've scored a number of tries, and I know against lesser opposition, but again, like, so often now we're finding 9s get caught in the defensive line, and that area has been exposed. And then once it gets exposed, what it does is it naturally brings the backfield up because they feel they can't cover it, and then the 50-22. So having him defensively, in the high veld is massive, because your backfield can be manipulated so much in terms of your ability to kick long, pushes you back, but then the opportunities of those short attacking kicks, which the Springboks are just becoming masters of, to be honest.
And I think what the Australians are going to feel like, they had a pretty good dress rehearsal against the Lions, but I think the scrum and the set piece battle is just going to be massive. I think it's going to go up another level in terms of can they hold their own for long periods of time at the Veld and scrum pressure, especially in the last 10, 15. If you need to win a test match, line up, in terms of defensively with Etzebeth and co. So
they're going to want to send a message at scrum time, I reckon, the Springboks. Like, they're doing kickoffs to get scrum. They back their scrum.
So
I think the first scrum, if it's their ball, I don't think they plan on getting it out.
No.
Yeah. It's So it's
an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle what the Australians are going to have to go through. Like, let's not, let's just tell them how
Skelton, Tupou and Valentini play like they did when on the field in the last 2 tests, they're in the contest. They will be in the contest.
I agree. Yeah, I think it was wet in that third test match, but I think they're going to have instances in that test match where they're going to have to be brave and bring some light speed, because I think with what we've seen with the South Africans, if they attack with how they are, this new evolved South African attacking system, it's going to be pretty tough for the Australians to try and get that result as well.
I have a pitch for Joe Schmidt too. So I'm going to meet him halfway. Okay? Joseph Suoliti, he can stay at centre. Fine, let's name him there. But can we do like Billy Proctor does for the Canes and just slip him to the edge now and again? Slip him out on the edge and just crossfield kick it to him.
Yeah, get him up.
I remember previewing that. We used to preview Israel Folau, and you knew that the one guy wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Like, you had to have one guy. If it was anywhere around that area and you saw him out there, you'd almost have 2 guys that were getting in that spot. So not only maybe not get up in the air, but when he comes down, a blocker comes down, you've just got 2 guys that are in and around that ball. And you can't do it like league. You can't just slap it to the goal line. So it's a ploy that I think, it's not a bad option. It's almost like a 60-40 or 70-30 in there.
I'm not sure if Joe watches the show, but if he does, please, let's get Joseph, Big Joe, on the edge.
And we can clip it. And we can clip it for the,
That's right.
podcast,
I'm sure he'll talk about it if you're...
I'm sure he really
And then the press conference.
the press
we're watching
conference
our Rugby Pod.
Yeah.
They talked about getting an aerial in the 22.
Thanks, Chipper, you've got a job. Off you go. Now, last week we got a lot of comments from South Africans about the fact that, it's not really going to be that easy for the Australians going through. This came from Hendry LaRue on YouTube. Anything can happen on the day, but consider this. Last time Australia won in SA was 2011. Last time they won at Ellis Park was 1963. Is this Australian team better than all teams since 2011?
Wow.
How does this SA team compare to SA teams since 2011? Odds are Australia will have a hard time. It is pretty hard to argue with that.
That is tough, man. I don't know those stats. That's pretty alarming. Those are alarming stats.
I think, I genuinely think if you look at the way they have improved under Joe Schmidt, maybe I don't know, putting too much on the coach, but they have to be in the contest. Like, he is just not going to let them not be in a contest. He is one of the most creative minds. He will have plans.
Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of history.
It's a lot of history.
And they're not actually limping into the Rugby Championship, maybe where they probably have in the past. Like, they should feel confident.
Yeah.
The fact that they probably should have won the Test match series against the British Irish Lions that we thought was probably, one of the best teams in the world with how they played leading up to that.
Yeah.
So they'll be confident.
It's just
Those
hard.
are some seriously hard
That's a lot of stats.
They won't be looking at that.
Yeah. Was it
1963 at Ellis Park. There's some time.
They won't be looking at that probably in the lead up.
No, I can't imagine they would be.
I'm sure it'll be all through the papers in South Africa, though.
And I mean, on top of that, they knew that Finn Russell was starting at 10. They don't know if Feinberg and Ngomazulu, Pollard or LeBoc's going to be there. They don't know any of those things. Like, the what-ifs that come with playing the Springboks are off the charts.
There's a chance.
They are off the charts.
There's a chance that they win. I saw in the comment.
The Oracle.
In the comment section, they talked around I said around who they've played leading up.
Yeah.
And I know nobody's taking it seriously, but if Australia do get their result and the South Africans look clunky, putting it down to their performances in terms of playing the Italians and the Georgians.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Oracle, I could be the Oracle. Whatever camera I'm looking at.
I will tip my cap to you.
Yeah. Bring the Oracle Hall.
Yeah, it's going to be tough though.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be tough.
Okay, let's go to our Ashley and Martin turning point for the week this week. A lot of chat about Rugby 360 and the effect that this proposed competition
Don't get me on that.
and the millions of dollars
coming out of
that could go to players around the world, the houses that will be paid for, the Bugatti that could be sitting in the driveway, all of those things that could be going to rugby players, and whether or not this thing will get off the ground. What we know so far is that they're going head-to-head basically against European competition. So if they want to get over the line, the only way for this competition to be actually working is to be sanctioned by World Rugby. What we know is that the English clubs don't want to be interfered with. The French clubs don't want to be interfered with. They've got relationships with the English Union and the French Union, and we know from rugby history that they get what they want. We know that as Southern Hemisphere people, that in the most part they get what they want. So the chances of this league getting everything it needs, including sanctioning, seems very, very slim. Sports washing is a big term as to whether or not this is the thing that's happening with this league. We've seen the IPL, we've seen Live Golf come in and mix things up. But if you can't get a hold of test players, and the South Africans have come out and said that unless this thing is sanctioned, no one who's playing in this league will be playing for the Springboks at the next World Cup.
That almost was a killer.
Yeah, that is a
big statement.
That was putting it right down. It seems very unlikely. So if this thing is going to happen, we're looking at NRL players, we're looking at retired test players, and there'll probably be a few Springboks after the World Cup who have, possibly won 3 and looking to move on, and guys who are coming to the end of their careers to have a crack. And Brynner, that seems to be a really good place for opportunity for players in general. It's those guys who will get a crack at the end of their careers.
The first thing you touched on, Ross, it needs to be sanctioned. So I think it's great on paper in terms of you do think about the money that has kind of been talked about, and you'd be stupid not to be able to try and think about it and talk to your agent saying, hey, what would this look like if this does get sanctioned? But I think until all that kind of stuff does get over the line, I think players will be able to be a little bit just looking from the distance and saying, no, I hope it does happen. Because I think you look at Liv and the astronomical amount of money that was put into it, and the guys like your Brooks Koepka, your Bryson DeChambeau, and being able to leave and being able to set up their families of what, with the money that was given. So there's a lot of hurdles, I believe, Drip, that are happening in and around it possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I know as much as you know, to be fair, but I think the one thing they're going to need to overcome is trust, in terms of the players can trust what they're signing up to. And at the moment, there's just so many things to still work out, from what I understand, that I don't think you're going to see a movement of the game's greatest stars. And I think if you look at IPL, you need that bang factor straight away.
If it does get sanctioned, then I think it's all on in terms of being able.
Oh, there's no doubt, Bryn.
Then being able to go then you'll see. You're talking about.
It's great. It's great for players.
Yeah, for players like commercialism, being able to then, I guess, grow the brand of the product, being able to be the competition. If that gets then woof.
It would probably move rugby more towards your sort of your NRLs and your cricket models where international rugby isn't the focal point. And I think like they're definitely probably looking to break into that American market, which everyone says is the sleeping giant. But to break into that, you're going to need glitz and glam. Yeah. And it's going to, and I know they've probably got the finances for that, but the game, you know, some potential innovation around rules and laws and all that sort of stuff comes with it.
People, you've triggered me. People always talk about the American market, and whether it's cricket or rugby or whatever, you triggered me. They have enough.
Yeah, I know.
They love their enough.
I know, but
like,
this is
so difficult to actually make a play in
but
that.
But they are saying that's what they want to do. They want certain teams based there.
And there is a World Cup in America.
There is.
So
there is.
There is.
But they still don't like rugby.
They still
who knows?
love rugby.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So who knows?
When you look at the way that cricketers did it, and they had a similar kind of concept with stars going over and playing, a lot of them are retired stars. What they did is they aimed at the Indian audiences in all of the major cities, and the people who turned up were these passionate Indian expats who came along and watched. I don't know whether rugby is going to be able to attract that same kind of thing to make it work around the United States, World Cup or not. Like I always laugh at that.
Where would you take it? Where would you take it?
Where would I take it?
Where would you take it?
Well, you've got to take it to places where you know that a crowd's going to turn up. Like you mentioned that football thing. You know, people are turning up to watch Ronaldo for a couple of weeks, and then after that, let's move on. Like, you've got to know that you're going to the south of France. You've got to know that you're going to Johannesburg. You've got to know that you're going to rugby places to get your basis. You can't build an audience in a place that doesn't know the game with players they've never heard of.
But by the sounds, that's the only option they have. That's an ambition of this league, is that sleeping giant, which is non-existent for you.
That giant's not asleep. That giant is awake and doing all sorts of other things.
It's got NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's more a watch this space than panic stations at the moment.
Yeah. You know, in terms of like being able to travel the world and being able to take the brand of rugby to different parts and different hotspots in the
America.
It would be fantastic.
Don't trigger him.
Get me going.
Trigger him. Canada. We'll go to
Canada. Toronto.
I mean, I'd love the day that a person in Connecticut has got a Bryn Hall signature.
Oh, imagine it.
You know,
it'd be massive. Absolutely nothing for I have to pay for him. I'd have to pay him. I would sign. I would pay him. There you go, mate. Take that for you. It's $5 for you. There you go.
If you, a family member or friend, needs to get into rugby shape, we have the giveaway that will supercharge him for this season. Along with All Blacks trainer Dr. Nick Gill's Rugby Ready team, we're trying to get the rugby community, whether you're a player or fan, fit and strong. Each week, one winner will receive 4 weeks of free access to the Rugby Ready Perform membership, with full access to all of Dr. Nick Gill's pre-season, in-season, off-season and specialty programs to help take your game to the next level. A huge congratulations to this week's winner, Richard McRae. You've scored 4 weeks of free access to the Rugby Ready Perform membership. Richard has won it for his sons. He says they're exceptional young athletes. They play rugby, cricket, basketball, golf, they run and snowboard, and he'd love to get a training program for them to stay in good shape for all of their sports. Thanks again to everyone who entered. We love reading your stories, and if you didn't win this round, don't worry, you're still in the running, so keep those amazing submissions coming, and it could be your name we announce next week. Want in? It's simple. Just DM Rugby Ready on Instagram with the code ARP and tell them why you'd love to win. And of course, if you miss out, you can get 75% off memberships through ARP by going to the link or using the QR code below. So we've got a few All Blacks interviews coming for you in the next few weeks, as well as Black Ferns as well, obviously, with the World Cup starting up in England as well. This week we've got Emoni Narawa for you, but we've also got new All Black Ollie Norris coming on, Geordie Barrett. We talk a bit about Ireland and the genius, what's going on inside Geordie Barrett's brain while he's playing. There's X's and O's everywhere. It's pretty incredible to hear him think about the game. Duplessis Karifi and everyone's favourite, Jimmy the Difference. We'll have Timothy Tavatavanawe on the show in the weeks to come. But first, Emoni Narawa, a guy who's been in and out of the All Blacks, got injured in 2023 and missed the World Cup, came back into the side last year, got dropped. He's back in the team now on a full-time basis after being injury covered during the July series. And I'll tell you what, he had a week last week.
Firstly, congratulations, brother.
Yeah.
Obviously having a newborn coming through 3 days older.
Yeah, little Nyla,
Yeah.
Nyla Ray. Yeah, she's only 3 days old. They're both back at home now. Mumsy's doing well, baby's there. Yeah, not so much sleep at the moment, but yeah, loving it.
No, you're looking good.
Yeah, not too bad, eh?
Yeah, fresh as.
Fresh gear, you know, got the new sambas on, got the kit on.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go
Looks
into
good.
get back my sleep.
Well, and also, you're back playing in the All Blacks. You must be in a really good place. Those two things happening, you know, within a couple of months of each other.
So yeah, Monday, yeah, probably one of the best days of my life. Got named in the All Blacks and had baby out a couple of hours later. So yeah, can't beat that. Yeah.
So what happens then? You got your phone on.
Bro, I actually wasn't aware. I actually went to the dairy to go get some snacks. And then while driving back to the hospital, my partner just called me and said, yeah, made the team. Yeah. So I was pretty stoked. And then about 2 hours later, newborn. Yeah.
She's monitoring for you.
Yeah.
She's about to get
She
hurt.
was like, yeah, just had to go get some lollies.
Hell of a story in terms of, bro, like I guess resilience and being able to go through the ups and downs of, I guess, being an All Black and playing for the Chiefs and injuries and whatnot. What's the secret in terms of being able to just concentrate the next campaign and then to get an opportunity to be with the All Blacks again?
I guess for me, it's my family that takes me out of those hard days. Now I've got 2 girls to look after now, and I've got my lovely partner who's always there for me, and they're my why, being able to provide for them when I'm going through those tough days, those tough injuries, being able to bounce back. It's definitely credit to my family.
Obviously on the field as well, you've done some work. You were told, hey, here are some things for you to work on.
Yeah.
And you went off and did it, and here you are again. So there must be a lot of pride that comes out of that. What were the kinds of things that you were working on?
It's about getting busy, really. You're just not just hanging out in your wing. You got to look for work, and also. Team these days I like to kick a lot, so it's all about winning the air and being a menace around the park, really.
We see that a lot of the times you'd love to do your pick and go. I think it's in the Fijian flair. That's kind of, you're looking for those spaces there. Is it just something that you just look up? Do you do preview around that, or is it just something that's kind of in your game that's...
I think it's just part of. I think as soon as I approach the ruck, it's the opportunities there. It's not something I really look at, but when the opportunity pops up, I usually like to take it.
But you're clever with it, eh? Because you look like you're just over the top of the ball, like you're just protecting it.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're picking it up with one hand and going through. It's almost like a fake, like a dummy.
Well, hips of grip definitely helps a lot.
Yeah, and then you go through. I think you got 2 against the Brumbies.
Yeah,
was
Brumbies.
it?
Yeah, 2 against the Brumbies. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was quite nice. Caught them off guard. It's good.
Yeah, you've got to show Sebu how it's done, eh?
Sebu's got small hands.
But just with that, the connection, with Sevu and I think Timothy as well.
Yeah.
Back in your time in Fiji, was it enjoyable living in the islands? And
Oh yeah, 100%. Look, Dad was a full-time teacher, but what he was bringing in was probably just enough for us. So, I bought my first pair of boots selling watermelons on the side of the road.
oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
So that was pretty cool. And being in the same team as, like you said, Jim and Siv all went to the same school. Little did we know back then is that we had the same goal, and that was to wear the black jersey. So looking back at it now is quite cool.
Were you a good salesman?
I guess so. Yeah, I wasn't really good with probably maths. Yeah, changes. Sometimes we give extra changes.
Yeah. But Queen Victoria School, it's a hell of a school. It's probably like almost the premier production line of outside backs in the world.
Yeah.
What an incredible school. What was that like? What's the rugby culture like? And how do they go about developing all of these incredible wingers?
I guess probably one of my best memories in life is being in school, being at Queen Victoria School. So you're pretty much in the outer part of Fiji. It's, I guess, a 3-hour drive from where I live, and usually go, say a term is 14 weeks of school. You're only allowed to go home maybe 2 times, and there's visiting Sundays where family comes in, and our boarding fee was about $50.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, you then go to Hamilton Boys.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was Noah Hotham's dad. I think did he spot and see? But how was
so
that
my
coming
brother, came over 2013, if I'm right. Nigel Hotham sort of asked if I was keen to come over. Yeah, sort of second guessed myself if he wanted to come over, but yeah, grateful that I actually did. Came over to Hamilton boys, bit of a shock.
Yeah.
You see about 10 new faces every day for the whole year. Yeah, and yeah, it was a blessing.
A lot of stories around Hamilton boys, around how regimented it is,
Yeah.
and obviously how hard it is, how many sessions you do.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a pretty good introduction then to be able to go on to
100%.
and Super Rugby? Like,
Yeah.
it was good.
I think coming on from Ham boys, I think you get taught work ethic. You get trained really hard over there, doing pre-seasons, doing the season. I think Nigel and Kirkham's, I guess, sort of install a culture there, and it's all about working hard.
Was little Noah floating around when you were...
Nah, little Noah was running around in his nappies back then. He usually comes in, runs the water bottles. Yeah. Quite annoying.
That's good, man.
Has much changed?
Nah, not really. You still have to put him in straight line sometimes, flick his ears, realign himself.
Obviously, rugby players watch a lot of rugby. You see these other guys. Who in the world gets you excited at the moment? Say maybe one player in New Zealand and one player around the world who has you on the edge of your seat.
I've got two in New Zealand, actually.
Yeah.
Paul Jordan and Damien McKenzie. Those two are just, I say, two players that just play off instincts. You know, they back themselves. They've got great IQ, knows how to read the game, and overseas would probably Henry Pollock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, up and coming.
Yeah, Jipper like that.
Jipper will love that.
Yeah.
Big advocate for Henry Pollock.
Yeah, I don't know why he gets a lot of hate, to be honest. I think like him just being him, I rate that. And yeah, love watching him play.
Incredible skills. Pretty
Pretty good for Lucy.
And you've got a front row seat for the DMAC show too, so that must be pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, no, he's a special talent, man. I guess hanging out with him, being at the Chiefs and in the All Blacks gets a bit annoying sometimes. Get to see his face too much.
Enough of him, mate.
Yeah, you really get sick of him sometimes. Though. It's just, yeah, but honestly, a quality player.
Nice, mate. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Yeah, cheers, fellas.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, fellas.
Awesome, bro.
Thank you. Thank you.
Money.
Thanks, bro.
So if you missed what Emoni was referring to at the end of that interview, as he walked off not taking the handshake, last year in Super Rugby, after a game for the Chiefs, he went to shake the hand of the interviewer, Cameron Shepherd, and Cameron left him hanging. And Emoni turned to the camera, shook with himself and carried on. I will show you the vision of that. Classic fella, Emoni, just such a nice, likeable, energetic guy, eh?
Yeah, he is, and like he's got a great story as well. Being able to not only just have rugby player, but he talked around his family and I guess the resilience that he's had to show in a lot of, I guess, test teams not being able to make them. So, yeah, an awesome story. But yeah, obviously I felt firsthand how he must have felt firsthand sport, Cameron Shepherd.
Just leaving people hanging left, right and centre. You know who's not hanging right now? Hookers. 2 hooker hat tricks. NTC on the weekend, Jipper.
I think it was because I was sideline commentary for both of those games. Jeez, just that energy between hookers. But yeah, it was an absolute clinic. 1.5. I think Slater did 2 and then 1. It was incredibly impressive, might I say, by the people in front of them, because that's where all the work is done.
Teams to beat right now, having seen 2 weeks, a little bit more consistency in performance, Chip.
They have plenty.
Yeah.
Wow. They lost, obviously, Carter and Emoni Narawa, but yeah, they just seem, their forward pack is incredibly strong, providing that front foot ball, and players like Trask are just finding themselves. Cashmore's back from injury.
Judd,
I don't know, like they just seem, immaculate in the sense that even when they were squeezed by counties, 2 yellow cards, they Kurt Eklund's captaincy was really strong in that period because they basically absorbed it, came back on, and then they took 3 points
That's right.
rather than kicking to the corners, and they respected counties enough to go, look, we've got to get a bit of breathing space, and then the tries started coming after that. So they're a well-oiled machine, and as we know with the champions of NPC, depth is normally what decides it, and as guys come in and out, they seem to sort of have a very strong next man up philosophy, and I suppose the most impressive player in the first 2 rounds is Lasanga.
Yeah.
Like his time down in the Highlanders, and obviously the connection he's created with Jamie Joseph, he has got some edge about his play, both sides of the ball, and they're excited for where he can sort of get up to.
And I think lastly, I think Taranaki are kind of just going under the radar.
Mate, look at their
They're
squad.
just going under the radar, so,
It's 23 Super Rugby with the average Super Rugby caps of 20-25.
So it just feels like they're just going just through their business. Like, just picking up wins. They had a couple, obviously, the Referee Shield to be able to get that kind of start of the season, a bit of a head start. But yeah, I think the depth that they have and the way that they are playing, the Referee Shield will be on the line as well. So they'll be able to, they play that winning rugby pretty much the whole year if they continue to hold on to the Shield. So, I'd say Taranaki as well.
I think I've got a new club to be a president of as well. I'll tell you what, it was absolutely outstanding to see Mark Talia at centre and Daniel Rona go head to head. Mark probably got the spoils in the first half. He was really pressuring, but man, oh my. Rona came out in the second half. He scored an absolute blistering try and was just into everything. And I don't know, like, I've watched him for a number of years. I get so excited when he plays for the Chiefs, whether he's at wing, centre, second five. Doesn't matter where he plays. He always has a fingerprint on the game. I just think he's got to be knocking down the door for All Blacks 15 in that midfield area, and the ability to cover wing. I just haven't seen him play below 8 out of 10.
You know who he reminds me of, Joe? He actually reminds me a lot of Anton Leonard-Brown in terms about how consistent he is. It doesn't matter what jersey he has and what level he plays at, he just performs. So, you talk around consistency and being able to have performances wherever you do play.
Versatility.
Yeah. And Yorona, he's very, very good in terms of what he's done in the early part of his career.
Rounded skill set.
Yeah, just consistent. Like you said, Jip, he's never below a 7 or an 8. The difference of his game every single week, you can bet on that he's going to be able to perform well. So as a coach, you're definitely saying you want to pencil him or put him in ink, in terms of how he performs. So yeah, he's just a consistent performer and does it every single week.
So just an update, you're now the president of the Daniel Rona fan club. You've given up your presidency of the Cam Roigard club.
Well, I mean, Outmate outshone me saying he's better than a Pont, so he's worthy of it. He's worthy of it.
So it's is it just the one presidency
Who
at
else
the
have I got? We'll have a couple more. There's a lot to like out there, Ross. I think we're in good stead.
Yeah, well, there's some big games to like this weekend. One in particular, Bay of Plenty versus Canterbury, is a massive, massive game. Okay, we're going to do...
That's a total.
Yes. Quick fire.
Yep.
NPC picks.
Okay.
Okay, Jeff, are you ready?
Yeah.
Steel yourself. We'll take a second for you to steel yourself. Get ready for the quick fire.
I hate quick fire.
Bop v Canterbury.
Bop.
Northland v Tasman, Brenner.
Tasman.
Auckland, Taranaki. Jip.
Oh, I just don't want to get beaten up by Ho, so I'll say Taranaki.
Taranaki.
Hawke's Bay, North Harbour.
North Harbour to get their first one.
Oh, he's just talked up Hawke's Bay.
North Harbour to get their first one.
And then he's giving Harbour the win.
North Harbour to get their first one.
Sorry, I broke the rules, but I couldn't help it. Wellington,
ask Chipper.
North Harbour.
Oh.
It's like us asking you in counties, mate. Have you ever gone against counties?
Yeah.
No loyalty, mate. No loyalty.
I've got loyalty, but I know.
Mate. No, you don't, mate.
I know what's up. Wellington v Otago.
Wellington.
Okay, Waikato counties.
Waikato.
Yeah. I'll go counties.
Yeah, good boy.
Oh, good on you, mate.
Good boy.
Alrighty, okay, into the two big games this weekend. The Springboks against the Wallabies at Ellis Park. Jipper.
Oh, I'm Springboks, and you better say Wallabies.
Oh,
yes,
Wallabies.
boy.
I'm
Yes,
going Wallabies.
boy.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going Wallabies.
Good on
okay,
you,
Wallabies
boy.
test 1, Wallabies test 2 as well?
No, Wallabies test 1, and then they're going to get they'll get a nice little reminder.
Yeah.
Test 2, but for test 1, because of the build-up that the South Africans have had, the Australians are a chance,
Yeah.
and they're going to get a win.
Here comes-
When was the date? 1960 what?
3, yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
Wallabies.
Well,
First win in
you've heard it from the Oracle, Bryn Hall.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get into the comments.
Okay, Argentina against the All Blacks in Cordoba.
All Blacks.
All Blacks?
Yep. All Blacks.
All Blacks. 100% on that? You're both very, very clear on that?
Yep.
Okay, rightio.
Man, have you heard me after the French series? Like I've waxed lyrical.
He's fizzing. Okay, plenty of good rugby to watch this weekend. Thank you very much for joining us on the Aotearoa Rugby Pod. Please send us an email, aotearoarugbypod@sky.co.nz. Jump into that comment section. We love to read it. Also, thank you to Ashley and Martin for helping bring our show to air and all the people behind the scenes who make this possible, and there are plenty of them. Thank you to all of them. Thank you to you for watching. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.